We spend our days caught in the relentless blur of modern life, checking notifications, rushing to work, planning for next year. But what if the timeline we're living on is already running out? While we're distracted, ancient prophecies about the end of the world are quietly snapping into place. 1400 years ago, the Prophet Muhammad spoke of specific signs, dividing them into the observable events we see in society and the supernatural shifts that follow. He didn't give humanity a single date, but instead provided a sequence of events to watch for as history progresses. To understand where we are, we have to look at the minor signs. One highly specific prophecy stated that destitute, barefoot herders in the desert would one day compete with each other to construct the tallest buildings in the world. Look at the modern Gulf states today. Within a single lifetime, explosive economic competition has replaced barren sand with skylines dominated by megatowers. The ancient prediction has been pushed higher into the sky than ever before. Then there is the prophecy regarding the environment. It was foretold that the final hour would not come until the arid Arabian Peninsula returned to being a land of meadows and rivers. For centuries, this seemed impossible. Yet through modern agricultural pivots and recent heavy rainfall, sweeping green zones are erupting across the desert. It is a verifiable geographical shift unfolding right now. The prophecies also pointed to a profound sociological change. They warned of a time when Muslims would be vast in number, over 1 billion strong, yet find themselves entirely powerless, described as being like the foam on the surface of the sea. These shifts are the daily news, and as these quiet social changes become our physical reality, the boundary between our world and the supernatural sequence begins to thin. The arrival of the major signs begins in a period of global chaos. Just as the world seems entirely consumed by injustice, a leader known as Imam Mahdi will emerge to unite the believers and temporarily restore equity across the globe. But this hard-won peace is abruptly shattered. It is broken by the arrival of the greatest tribulation humanity will ever face, Al-Masih ad-Dajjal, the Antichrist. Dajjal will not conquer by military force alone. He will manipulate reality itself, commanding the sky to rain and the earth to produce crops. He will present desperate people with a lush false heaven and a terrifying fake hell, using these illusions to demand worship. In a world starved of resources and terrified of the future, Dajjal's power will prey on human materialism. His deception is engineered to cleanly separate those who truly believe from those who are blinded by worldly survival. Just as Dajjal's deception reaches its peak, relief will come from the sky. The prophet Isa, Jesus, will physically descend to earth, bringing the reign of lies to an immediate end. This event is tied to a specific physical location. The prophecies state that he will descend resting his hands on the wings of 2 angels, arriving at the white minaret in the eastern part of Damascus. Dajjal's defeat marks a turning point, but a far more visceral threat follows immediately. An ancient, impenetrable barrier will collapse, releasing the hordes of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, or Gog and Magog. They will swarm down from every mountain and elevation, in numbers so incomprehensible they will blanket the earth, violently consuming every resource in their path. Their numbers will be so vast that when the first wave passes through a massive body of water or a great river, they will drink it completely dry, leaving only cracked mud for the millions marching behind them. No army and no technology can stop them. Prophet Isa and the believers can only retreat to the mountains and pray. The horde is eventually wiped out by a divinely sent microscopic worm that drops them all in an instant, proving humanity's total dependence on the divine. After a brief, miraculous period of peace, the cosmic clock accelerates. A thick, mysterious smoke will descend, completely enveloping the earth and plunging humanity into darkness. Then the very laws of nature will break. One morning, the sun will stall, and instead it will rise from the west. In the wake of this impossible sunrise, a creature known as the beast of the earth will emerge. It will speak directly to humanity, physically marking every single person, illuminating the faces of the believers and casting darkness upon those who rejected the truth. The The sun rising from the west is the final threshold. At that moment, the door to repentance permanently slams shut. If a person did not hold faith before that impossible dawn, suddenly believing in what they can clearly see will no longer be accepted. With the truth undeniable and the test complete, a final mercy is granted. A gentle breeze will sweep across the globe, peacefully taking the soul of every last believer. Only those who have entirely abandoned faith will remain. They will fall back into total corruption, eventually being herded to a final gathering place by a massive, relentless fire bursting forth from the lands of Yemen. Then the angel Israfil will sound the first blow of the trumpet, the blow of terror. The entire universe will violently shudder, the oceans will ignite, and towering mountain ranges will simply explode into dust. A second blow will echo through the cosmos, the blow of absolute death. Every living thing in the heavens and the earth will perish. For 40 years there will be nothing but a terrifying silence, an absolute void where only God remains. Then a divine rain will fall upon the barren earth. From the tiny, indestructible tailbone of every human being, physical bodies will miraculously rebuild like plants sprouting from the soil, waiting for the third blow, the call of resurrection. The unmaking of the universe, the fire, the sound, the void, serves a singular purpose. It clears the way for the absolute accountability of every human soul. Billions of souls will tear out of their graves. From the very first human to the last, they will wake up terrified and completely exposed, rushing toward an infinite, blindingly white plain known as the gathering grounds of Hashr. The physical weight is agonizing. The sun will be brought down to just above their heads. Under that crushing heat, people will drown in their own sweat, entirely dependent on the weight of the actions they committed in life. They will stand there for what feels like an eternity, waiting for the scales of justice to weigh their deeds, and bracing for the final test, crossing the Sirat. This is a bridge suspended directly over the depth of hell. It is described as thinner than a strand of hair and sharper than the edge of a sword. Some will flash over it like lightning, others will slip and fall into the abyss below. These prophecies act as a direct mirror held up to our present reality. The minor signs are already fulfilling themselves right outside our windows. The only question left is, what will you do today, while the sun still rises in the east, and the door to forgiveness remains wide open?